Hello, welcome to IT Expert YouTube video series. Today we are going to talk about Agile Scrum Master interview questions along with their answers. What is Agile Scrum? Agile Scrum is a framework for iterative and incremental software development that emphasizes collaboration, flexibility, and customer feedback. What are the key principles of Agile Scrum? The key principles include customer collaboration, responding to change, delivering working software frequently, and promoting self-organizing teams. What is a Scrum Master's role? The Scrum Master is responsible for facilitating the Scrum process, removing impediments, and ensuring the team follows Agile practices. What are the main roles in Scrum? The main roles are the Product Owner, Scrum Master, and Development Team. What is the role of the Product Owner? The Product Owner defines and prioritizes the product backlog items and represents the voice of the customer. Explain the concept of a sprint in Scrum. A sprint is a time-boxed iteration, usually 2-4 weeks, during which a potentially releasable product increment is developed. What is a product backlog? The product backlog is a prioritized list of features, enhancements, and bug fixes that need to be developed for the product. What is a sprint backlog? The sprint backlog is a subset of the product backlog items that the team commits to completing during a sprint. What happens during the sprint planning meeting? During sprint planning, the team selects items from the product backlog for the upcoming sprint and plans how to complete them. How does Scrum handle changes during a sprint? Changes to the sprint scope are discouraged during the sprint. Any changes are added to the product backlog and considered for the next sprint. What is the daily Scrum meeting? It is a short daily meeting where team members share their progress, plans, and challenges to promote collaboration and alignment. What is the purpose of the sprint review? The sprint review is held at the end of a sprint to showcase the completed work to stakeholders and gather feedback. How does Scrum handle team disruptions or conflicts? The team is encouraged to self-organize and resolve conflicts. The Scrum Master may step in to facilitate if needed. What is the definition of done? The definition of done is a set of criteria that a product increment must meet to be considered complete and potentially releasable. How do you handle a situation where the product owner keeps adding new items to the sprint? The Scrum Master should help the product owner understand the importance of keeping the sprint scope stable and avoid adding new items during the sprint. What is the purpose of the sprint retrospective? The sprint retrospective is a meeting where the team reflects on their processes and identifies improvements for the next sprint. What is the difference between Agile and Scrum? Agile is a broader philosophy of iterative and customer-centric software development, while Scrum is a specific framework within the Agile approach. How do you measure the progress of a Scrum project? Progress is tracked through the completion of planned sprint backlog items and the quality of the product increment. What is a burn-down chart? A burn-down chart visually represents the remaining work backlog items over time during a sprint. Can Scrum be used for non-software projects? Yes, Scrum's principles can be applied to various types of projects beyond software development. How can you scale Scrum for larger teams or projects? Scaling frameworks like SAFe, LaSS, or Nexus can be used to coordinate multiple Scrum teams working on a larger product. What is a user story? A user story is a brief description of a feature from an end user's perspective, often following the format as a user, I want to do something so that benefit. How do you handle a situation where the team is consistently not meeting their sprint commitments? The team should analyze the root causes during the sprint retrospective and make improvements to their processes. What are the advantages of using Scrum? Advantages include increased flexibility, faster delivery of value, improved collaboration, and adaptability to change. Can you have multiple Scrum Masters in a single Scrum team? No, a Scrum team should have only one Scrum Master to maintain clear accountability and avoid conflicts. How can you prioritize items in the product backlog? Prioritization can be based on business value, customer feedback, market demand, and technical dependencies. What is the role of a development team in Scrum? The development team is responsible for delivering the potentially releasable product increment by completing the items in the sprint backlog. How do you handle changes in customer requirements during a sprint? Changes should be discussed with the product owner and, if agreed upon, added to the product backlog for future sprints. What is the concept of technical debt in Agile? Technical debt refers to suboptimal or incomplete solutions that might result from prioritizing speed of delivery over quality. What is the purpose of the sprint burndown chart? The sprint burndown chart shows the remaining work over time in a sprint, helping the team track progress and identify potential issues. Can a Scrum Master also be a product owner? While it is possible, it is generally recommended to keep these roles separate to avoid conflicts of interest and maintain focus. What is the role of management in a Scrum environment? Management supports the team by removing obstacles and creating an environment conducive to Agile practices. How can you ensure that the Scrum process is being followed appropriately? Regularly conduct sprint reviews, sprint retrospectives, and daily scrums, and encourage open communication within the team. How do you handle a situation where the product owner is not available to answer team questions? The Scrum Master should facilitate communication and help the team make informed decisions until the product owner is available. Can you change the duration of a sprint once the project has started? It is generally recommended to keep the sprint duration consistent throughout the project to maintain a predictable rhythm. How do you handle scope creep in Scrum? Scope creep should be avoided during a sprint. Any changes are captured in the product backlog for future sprints. What is the role of the Scrum Master during the daily stand-up? The Scrum Master facilitates the meeting and ensures that team members focus on updates related to achieving the sprint goal. Can the product owner make changes to the sprint backlog during a sprint? The sprint backlog is usually stable during a sprint, but in exceptional cases, the product owner can consult the team before making changes. How do you handle team members who are consistently not completing their tasks within a sprint? The team should collectively address this issue in the sprint retrospective and find ways to support each other. What is the purpose of the sprint goal? The sprint goal provides a clear objective for the team to work towards during the sprint and guides decision-making. Can a team skip the sprint retrospective if they feel everything is going well? No, the sprint retrospective is crucial for continuous improvement, even if things appear to be going well. What are the characteristics of a good product owner? A good product owner is knowledgeable about the product, prioritizes effectively, and maintains open communication with the team. How do you handle a situation where the team is consistently overcommitting and not meeting their sprint goals? The team should refine their understanding of the work during sprint planning and ensure a realistic commitment. Can a Scrum Master also contribute as a developer in the same Scrum team? It is possible, but the Scrum Master's primary focus should be on facilitating the Scrum process and removing impediments. What is the role of documentation in Agile Scrum? Documentation should be lean and provide value. It is important to balance the need for documentation with delivering working software. How can you ensure effective communication within a distributed Scrum team? Use collaboration tools, conduct regular video meetings, and foster a culture of open communication. What is the pig and chicken analogy in Scrum? The analogy refers to team members pigs who are committed to the project's success and stakeholders chickens who have an interest but are not directly involved. Can you have more than one sprint happening concurrently in the same organization? Yes, different teams can have their own sprints, but synchronization and coordination are essential. How does Scrum address long-term planning and roadmaps? Scrum uses product roadmaps and release planning to align long-term vision with short-term iterations. What challenges can arise when transitioning to Scrum from a traditional project management approach? Challenges may include cultural resistance, changing roles and responsibilities, and adapting to iterative development practices. What is a definition of ready in Agile? The definition of ready outlines the criteria that a user story or task must meet before it can be considered ready to be worked on in a sprint. This ensures that items are well defined and understood. How can you handle changes requested by stakeholders after the sprint has started? Changes requested during a sprint are added to the product backlog and considered for future sprints to maintain the sprint focus. What is the purpose of a sprint review? The sprint review is held at the end of a sprint to demonstrate the completed work to stakeholders, gather feedback, and adapt the product backlog as needed. Can a Scrum Master have technical responsibilities within the team? While the Scrum Master should focus primarily on facilitating the Scrum process, having technical knowledge can be helpful for understanding team dynamics and challenges. What is a Sprint Zero? Sprint Zero refers to the initial planning and preparation phase before the first official sprint begins. It includes activities like setting up the project, defining the backlog, and preparing the team. What is the purpose of a sprint retrospective? The sprint retrospective is held at the end of a sprint to reflect on the team's performance and processes, identify improvements, and make changes to work more effectively. How do you handle conflicts between the product owner and the development team about the priority of backlog items? Such conflicts should be resolved through open communication and collaboration. The product owner's decision is final, but both sides should understand each other's perspective. What is the role of the development team during sprint planning? The development team participates in sprint planning to select backlog items, estimate effort, and commit to completing work in the upcoming sprint. How can you ensure that the team maintains a sustainable pace throughout the project? The team should estimate work accurately, avoid overcommitment, and address issues in the sprint retrospective to prevent burnout. Can a Scrum team work on items not present in the sprint backlog? No, the team should only work on items from the sprint backlog to maintain focus and deliver the committed work. What is the purpose of the daily Scrum? The daily Scrum is a brief daily meeting where team members discuss their progress, align on goals, and identify any obstacles. How do you handle scope changes requested by the product owner during a sprint? Scope changes are discouraged during a sprint. The product owner and team should agree to evaluate the changes for a future sprint. Can a team skip the sprint planning if they are continuing work from the previous sprint? Even if the work is similar, sprint planning is crucial to align on objectives and decide what to include in the upcoming sprint. What is the role of a product owner during a sprint? The product owner clarifies questions from the development team, accepts or rejects completed work, and ensures that the sprint goal is achieved. How can you handle disruptions that affect the team's ability to complete their work during a sprint? The Scrum Master should work to remove or minimize disruptions and help the team maintain focus on the sprint goal. What is the cone of uncertainty in Agile projects? The cone of uncertainty represents the range of uncertainty in estimates, which becomes narrower as more information becomes available during the project. Can a product owner add or remove items from the sprint backlog during the sprint? Generally, the sprint backlog is stable during a sprint, but exceptions can be made if the entire team agrees. How do you handle a situation where a team member consistently fails to attend the daily Scrum? The Scrum Master should address the issue, remind the importance of the daily Scrum, and collaborate to find a solution. What is velocity in Agile Scrum? Velocity is a measure of the amount of work a team can complete in a sprint. It is used for planning and estimating future sprints. How does Scrum address emergent requirements during a project? Emergent requirements are captured in the product backlog and prioritized by the product owner for future sprints. Can the Scrum Master remove an item from the sprint backlog without consulting the team? The Scrum Master should not make unilateral decisions about the sprint backlog. Any changes should be a collaborative effort. What is the role of the Scrum Master in sprint planning? The Scrum Master facilitates the sprint planning meeting, ensures the team follows the process, and helps the team stay focused. How do you manage dependencies between backlog items in Scrum? Dependencies should be minimized, but if present, they are managed by communication, coordination, and iterative development. What is the piggybacking concept in Scrum? Piggybacking refers to adding new items to the sprint backlog during a sprint. It is discouraged to maintain focus and predictability. How can you ensure transparency in Agile Scrum? Transparency is achieved through clear communication, visible work, open access to information, and regular ceremonies. Can the Scrum Master change the priority of backlog items during a sprint? No, changing priorities during a sprint can disrupt the team's focus. Priorities are set before the sprint starts. What is a sprint goal? A sprint goal is a concise description of what the team aims to achieve during a sprint. It helps maintain focus and alignment. How can a team handle technical challenges that arise during a sprint? The team should collaborate and raise any technical challenges in the daily Scrum. The Scrum Master can facilitate resolution. How do you handle a situation where the product owner is unavailable during sprint planning? Sprint planning requires the product owner's input. If unavailable, the meeting may need to be rescheduled. What is the role of documentation in Agile? Documentation should provide value and be relevant to the needs of the project. It is best to focus on lightweight, actionable documentation. Can the development team change the sprint goal after the sprint has started? The sprint goal should remain unchanged during a sprint. Changes can be made in future sprints based on feedback. How can you ensure a common understanding of user stories within the team? The team should engage in 3 amigos or invest discussions to ensure shared understanding of user stories. Can the development team refuse to work on a user story if they believe it is not feasible? The team should express concerns during sprint planning, but the final decision rests with the product owner. What is the sashimi or horizontal slice approach in Agile development? It involves delivering a thin slice of end-to-end functionality across layers of the application, providing early value to stakeholders. How do you handle a situation where the product owner constantly changes requirements during a sprint? The Scrum Master should facilitate communication and help the product owner understand the importance of stability during a sprint. Can a team have multiple Scrum Masters if they are working on different aspects of the project? It is recommended to have one Scrum Master per team to maintain clarity and prevent conflicts. What is the role of stakeholders in Scrum? Stakeholders provide input, feedback, and support for the product. Their involvement helps align the product with business goals. Can the team work on items that are not part of the product backlog? No, the team should only work on items from the product backlog to ensure alignment with the product vision. How can you measure the success of an Agile project? Success can be measured by the value delivered to customers, adherence to sprint goals, stakeholder satisfaction, and meeting business goals. How do you handle situations where the product owner is not available for clarifications during a sprint? The team should raise questions in advance and seek to resolve uncertainties before the sprint begins. What are epics and how are they used in Agile Scrum? Epics are large user stories that are too big to fit into a single sprint. They are broken down into smaller, manageable user stories. How do you handle situations where the development team cannot complete a user story within a sprint? Incomplete user stories are not considered done. The team should analyze the reasons during the sprint retrospective and take corrective actions. What is technical spiking in Agile development? Technical spiking involves dedicating time to explore and research a new technology, tool, or approach before committing to it. Can the Scrum Master assign tasks to team members during the sprint? The Scrum Master does not assign tasks. The development team self-assigns tasks based on skill set and capacity. How does Scrum handle urgent bug fixes or critical issues that arise during a sprint? Urgent bug fixes or critical issues can be treated as separate items in the sprint backlog, and the team can collaborate to address them. How can a Scrum Master support the team's continuous improvement? The Scrum Master facilitates the sprint retrospective, encourages open communication, and helps the team implement improvements. What is the role of QA and testing in Agile Scrum? QA and testing are integral to Agile Scrum, ensuring that each increment is of high quality and meets the definition of done. How do you handle cases where the product owner insists on adding more features to the sprint, even though the team is at full capacity? The Scrum Master should help the product owner understand the importance of a stable sprint scope and manage expectations. What is sprint abandonment and how can it be avoided? Sprint abandonment occurs when a sprint is terminated before its intended end. This should be avoided unless absolutely necessary to maintain team focus. Can a Scrum team skip the sprint retrospective if they had a successful sprint? No, the sprint retrospective is essential for continuous improvement, even after successful sprints. Thank you for watching this video. We provide hands-on training with labs, homework, group projects, prepare you for the certification, provide real projects, internship opportunities, support you and resume LinkedIn, staffing support, provide tech references, in-person online class retake options and more. Call us at 847-350-9034 for your free career consultation meeting. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for the latest videos.